Hello and welcome to everybody. It's Wednesday. It's just after 12 o'clock, and thank you very much for joining us today on the Made Smarter LinkedIn Live session number 5. Today I'm joined by 3 guests, 2 of which are my colleagues from the Northeast, and one is a fantastic client that they have brought to today's session. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Made Smarter program and what we can offer SME manufacturers in the UK. And then we're going to talk to Sam, who is from a great company, and I'm going to let him do his proper introduction in a minute. My name's Jonathan Richards. I'm the head of marketing for Made Smarter in the Northwest. I'm joined today by Julia. Could you do a bit of an introduction, Julia?
Yes, I'm Julia Austin, and I'm the Northeast Advanced Manufacturing Programme Manager, and I work for the Northeast Local Enterprise Partnership. And the colleague that works with me on delivering the Made Smarter programme is Ian Wood. So I'll let Ian introduce himself.
Hi, good morning. My name's Ian Wood. I am the business advisor part of the Northeast delivery, and my role is to work on a day-to-day basis with all the businesses, helping them through the programme and then helping them with the grants through the completion of the programme.
Fantastic. And Sam?
Hi everyone, I'm Sam Barnes, the Product Development Manager here at Heliguy. We've been through the Made Smarter programme here in the Northeast, and yeah, good to talk to everyone about our experience on it.
Fantastic. And for those joining us for the first time today, and who may not be quite familiar with Made Smarter, we're a government supported organisation which works with SME manufacturers, typically of the size of less than 250 people, privately owned manufacturing organisations who would turn over a little bit less than 38 million pounds, and are, as I said, are privately owned and fundamentally make and produce product. The Made Smarter program has been going for a good number of years, and it's quite exciting the program at the moment. We're due to expand in 25-26 to some more regions, and the current number of regions we have at the moment are the Northwest, West Midlands, East Midlands, and the west of England, and Yorkshire and Humber. And obviously my colleagues from the Northeast are joined here today. So 26-27 looks even more exciting. So again, we're going to expand the number of regions to cover the full geographic location across the UK, and we hope to get the Northeast, the Northern Ireland, Wales, and Scotland joining us in the 26-27 year. So before I go any further, I'm just going to pass over to Julia. Julia, the Northeast, it's a great location for manufacturing. Can you tell us a little bit about the Made Smarter program up in the Northeast?
Yes, of course. Thanks, Jonathan. So the Made Smarter program aims to train a digital champion within a business through 3 workshops to give them all the tools they need to come up with a roadmap to digital adoption to make them and start their journey to becoming a smart manufacturer. It's done in a peer-to-peer setting, so they get the benefits of learning from their peers as well while they're on the course, and they can also then access, once they've done the roadmap and they've found out the technology that is best suited for them to implement, they can apply for revenue grants and capital grants. The revenue grants are £3,500 fully funded, and the capital grants are £10,000, 50% funded. So it's a really good programme, and they get the expert advice from Ian through the programme as well, and through our delivery providers. So I think it'd be a good time to pass to Ian now, just to sort of give a little bit of an experience of the journey once you've contacted our Growth Hub. Probably is the best way to get in touch, but we'll go through that in more details at the end. Ian, can you tell them a little bit more about the journey?
Ian, you're on mute. Sorry, just to interject there.
It's had to happen. Yeah, if I go back to when I started on the program, I've been working on the program about 2 years now, and I've seen it evolve and develop greatly within the Northeast. And my role has been to take the businesses basically by the hand from their first inquiry. And the inquiries come in from a range of different settings, through the National Made Smarter website, to our local LinkedIn programs that we run, and a variety of other just inquiries. And my job then is, when they come in, to have an initial chat with them to find out what it is, what they do, what the thoughts are of the business, and where they want to go further. And I find that I get two sorts of businesses applying, and I would imagine this goes throughout the country. And I get those businesses coming on board who are very clear what they need, what they want to do, how they want to take it forward. But we also get businesses who are aware that they need to do something, they need to adopt a practice, but they don't know how to do it, and they don't know where to get the help and support from. So what I do is I collect the information on the businesses, I enter them onto our CRM, and I put them together into cohorts of around about 12 businesses at a time. I'm quite selective as to who goes on, because I'm very careful that I don't put two businesses in the same cohort that might traditionally be seen as competitors, because what we want out of the group is interaction. We want peer networking, etc. And I'm quite aware, having been in business myself, that if you have a competitor in the room, sometimes you're not going to be as open as what you can be. We then set the dates, and we run the 3 workshops. We've got a very eclectic mix of businesses coming on board, and I'm finding that each business, whilst they may be very different, at the end of the day, it's all about the manufacturing process, because it's what comes out at the end may differ, but the processes are very similar for everybody on board. We have businesses, as you mentioned before, right up near the top end of the spectrum, the nearly 38 million, nearly 250 members of staff. But we also, I'm very keen, and in conjunction with Julia, we have a chat. We're very keen to bring on those businesses who are quite a bit smaller, but are looking to develop, because in our eyes, they are the larger businesses of tomorrow. And if we can help them today, then who knows where they're going to go to. Heliguy are a perfect example of that. We've had other businesses coming on board, ranging from a business who manufactures pipe organs for church cathedrals. We've had a coffin manufacturer on board. Businesses who manufacture large plant equipment, down to a business who manufactures, a smallish business who manufactures sails for sailing dinghies. And it's really interesting working with the businesses. I get to know them inside out. And I have to say, I have thoroughly enjoyed working with these guys.
I think just to interject there, Ian, I think I think what you're saying, and it's quite common in all of the regions, is that the problems that the manufacturing industry across the UK has are quite similar, irrespective of the type of organisation. There's a lot of commonality in terms of the production process, or trying to drive profitability, increase efficiency. I think that's the same in the Northwest and in the other regions as well.
Yeah, I think, Jonathan, what I'm finding is we do get a fair amount of businesses, which has surprised me greatly, who are still working with pieces of paper. And that's large businesses as well as the small businesses. And when I'm talking to them, I'm just thinking, how on earth can they still operate in today's age? But one in particular we had, which was a 200-year-old business. And the owner was thinking, well, if it worked 200 years ago, it should work now. And believe you me, it took us nearly 3 months of just chipping away and chipping away. And his production engineer, you can imagine, was very frustrated. And it took us 3 months of just chipping away to get him to even talk to somebody about digital systems within the business to handle his data. And in particular, you can imagine the finance director was very keen to get some digital systems in so he could check on status of orders, work in progress, all of that. Rather than having to go onto the shop floor and look for bits of paper, he could sit at a terminal and do it. And I find each business has its own individual issues. Apart from the.
Yeah, I think what you're saying there, Ian, and just thinking about the other regions, I think successful businesses, especially small businesses, or even ones that are struggling a little bit, they're focused a lot of their time on working in the business rather than on the business, and therefore there's an inherent and especially with more traditional organizations, they build into the process workarounds, and then those workarounds then become actually that is the process. And I think the good thing about Made Smarter is that we're here to help organizations digitally transform and identify projects and opportunities where such organizations you've described there, manufacturing organizations you've described there, we give them the opportunity to step back a little bit and think about how, or even for us to introduce to them and help them understand what digital transformation looks like and what it actually might help deliver in terms of a benefit to that organization. And actually, as we move them from traditional Industry 2.0 or 3.0 to Industry 4.0 standards. So I think that's a real key to Made Smart. And of course, as you talked about, there's some grant funding available, which varies slightly from region to region. Julia, can I just bring you into that a little bit?
Just thinking about picking up on what Ian said, and the key thing there is that the training that they go to become that digital champion helps them understand what they don't know, which I think is what we're finding a lot of, is that businesses don't know what they don't know. So the training that we do, but it also links into leadership and management as well. So it forces them to think about the whole part of the business to address which areas they need to focus on, not just thinking which is the biggest pain point at the moment, because that actually might not give them the biggest productivity gain or the biggest step forward. So the training that they receive is very important in that.
Yeah, and that cohort that you've identified in terms of your skills and leadership training, there's obviously a massive networking opportunity and peer group network that they can develop. And I know we found that in the Northwest, the value that Made Smarter brings is that ability for these peers to interact with one another in an informal setting. And then they suddenly realize that there's a lot of similar problems. And ideally, I mean, we've had one particular, we've probably had many instances of this, but one more recently where one business identified off the skills and leadership transformation training that we were working with them on, a supplier for part of their process. And prior to that, they were purchasing a service from Europe, but now they can purchase it from another manufacturer in the Northwest, obviously bringing down timescales and reducing carbon footprint, etc. So it's that network's
that as well, Jonathan. It really is. We've had businesses in the room that have helped each other out. One wanted to look at 3D printing. Another company already had one, so they've kind of got together beforehand to do a little bit of preemptive work, which has been great. And two companies have actually started working together because they've got skills that actually businesses needed between the two. So it's been really good. And I think Heliguy experienced some of that as well through the benefits through the program.
Yeah, and I suppose we should all shut up, because at the end of the day, we think it's a fantastic program, and we'd be massive advocates for people coming onto our program across all the different regions. But let's talk to Heliguy. Let's talk to Sam, because I think this is the important thing, really, is that Sam. We can talk a little bit about the success very recently that you've had with the Northeast in terms of some awards. But before we get into all of that good stuff, can can you just chat away about, you know, how you started working with Julia? What was your process or journey like to Made Smarter? What sort of challenges, and, you know, talk us through that a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah. I think just to kind of give a bit of background to the company as a whole, we were traditionally a retail e-commerce sales platform, effectively, so selling products that were imported. Nice, easy business model from, you know, a few years ago, where the margin was there and you could just buy things and sell them. Within the drone industry, so we went all in on drones fairly early on. The MD saw that was clearly the next evolution of the RC helicopter hobby, as it was then. Lots of commercial applications. So we've been all in on drones for a while and added things like training arms to train drone pilots to work commercially, repair centers, lots and lots of logistic things to help get these drones all over the world. And in the last couple of years, we've invested in a product development department, which I lead here at the company. Now, clearly, that's a slightly different transition from some of the businesses that we're talking about here. We were at a bit of an advantage, really, because we were coming to manufacturing fresh-based, really. We hadn't really done an awful lot before, some really small single projects for specific clients, but not towards developing our own products. So effectively, we reached out to Made Smarter based on a few questions we had, really, just about scaling up manufacturing, where we were very proactive in terms of starting to hook in with lots of local organizations that could support us as we went on this journey to becoming a manufacturer. So reached out to Ian at Made Smarter. That kind of started off the journey. Fairly basic application, just so that the organization could get to know us as a business and vice versa. Signed off on attending the 3 sessions, which we did over about a 4-month period, I think. And again, those were, you know, really, really useful in terms of all of the things that we've been talking about. Not only do you get to see lots of really interesting businesses of different, certainly from our perspective, it was very interesting to have different sized and different places in their journey businesses, I guess. So people that were at different scales, different types of manufacturing, from very, very, you know, heavy duty industrial to things a little bit more lightweight. The things that we're working on are definitely on the, you know, on the lighter end of things. But looking at different kinds of materials people's used, the way their processes worked, the way that the teams interacted, as Ian was saying, talking about digitization of, you know, the software platforms that link all of this information together. And we have, you know, had some really useful conversations actually with the people on our cohort in terms of discussing ways that we can work together on the products that we're trying to produce. And then from there, we went for a capital grant for 3 different types of machinery that we didn't presently have access to. Now, the 3 main problems that they solved were, one, we did have some 3D printing, so we're very additive manufacturing focused. We had 3D printers already, but they were very limited in the materials that we could use. So one of the machines that we used as part of the grant application was an SLA printer that had a much wider array of materials available to it. That meant that we could do things in, you know, flexible materials or rubberized materials, and all of these different components that go into these products. We can start now prototyping them in-house. We also invested in a PCB placement and printing machine, effectively, which allowed us to. There's a huge advantage in terms of being able to reduce that turnaround time, testing a little bit of electronics. You know, normally they're only small boards. Some of the more complex stuff it's not quite right for. But when we're testing little power management modules or little, you know, sensor blocks that we need to put on varying products, we can have the design done in a couple of days, have it printed and placed, and test it at the end of that week. So you're talking about a 4 or 5 day turnaround to test an electronic design, which is, you know, is a really new kind of invention, to be honest. It's not very long, you know, it hasn't been very long that businesses have been able to do this. So that's been really important for us. The other one was a desktop CNC machine. So very small scale, 5-axis CNC. Evidently, there are some applications that need metal. For us, the additive manufacturing for metals is something that we're going to look to in the future. We might come on to that a little bit more. But fundamentally, the CNC gives us the chance to, again, it's all for us. We move very, very quickly. We're a very, very lean organization, and we run almost like a mini startup within the wider business. it's on the one hand, it means we can move really, really quickly, and our turnaround time for prototyping different things is very, very short. And in the time working with Made Smarter, we've gone from potentially 2, 3, 4 weeks to prototype something down to days of timescale. That kind of time saving is invaluable for a business like ours that's trying to move quickly and working on what are some quite complex products.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds really interesting. I mean, again, it's unique because, as you say, as a retail business, the Made Smarter program wouldn't be applicable to you. But obviously, as a manufacturer, then you've obviously then now got access to some digital transformation support from a grant perspective, and also skills and leadership training. Were you aware of the whole digital transformation within manufacturing, or was that new to you? So was the concept that we were offering and talking to you about, was that completely new, or had you got some ideas on what you wanted to do?
We kind of had a basic understanding of where we needed to be. I think we were, again, I'll reinforce the fact that we were lucky that we were very early on in the development of this team. So we almost used Made Smarter as kind of a blueprint for how we're going to develop the team and how the manufacturing side of things, not necessarily the design and production piece, because we had some really good people in house already that would help us do that. But when it came to manufacturing and how we might scale up some of these things, and having an advanced view of what those pain points are going to be when we start to scale, has allowed us to preemptively put things in place that will, over the next 2 or 3 years, are going to be absolutely, invaluable in helping us scale effectively.
Yeah. That sounds really exciting. And obviously, from your point of view, what was the main challenge then, or what was the challenges that we helped you identify, or had you already got the idea? Had you already got the challenges in place, and
When we spoke to Ian, we had quite a long list of challenges, to be perfectly honest. When you're just starting out on a journey of becoming a manufacturer of products that involve electronics, physical design, there's a lot of these elements that have to come into place at one time to really succeed with it. So we had a list of pain points as long as your arm. But I think primarily for us, it was about, it comes back to scale for me. So we could design something really, really lovely, do all of the electronics, everything, but then actually we didn't have the knowledge to understand, okay, what is the process for us going from making 1 to making 50? What does that look like? And then what is the process from making 50 to going to 200 look like? And what is the processes and frameworks that we need in place in order to be able to do that effectively in the future? And thankfully, we're fast approaching the point where we can put all of that knowledge into really good use. So very exciting from our point of view.
Yeah, and it's great because, I mean, future scoping your business from a protection point of view is exactly what you need to be doing, because any inherent problems now, they could be disastrous for yourself moving forward. Julia, do you want to pick up on any particular points with Sam in relation to how you felt working with Heliguy has been?
I think the key thing to say is that, Sam's right. We were there at the right time for his business. But I think that's important for any business to reach out at whatever stage they're at, because as Ian said before, we've helped small businesses because today they are the small business, but tomorrow they could be the large business. And we've helped the larger businesses as well throughout. And when you're in that peer-to-peer network, you can learn from that. So Sam's already mentioned how much he actually learned from talking to other manufacturers. They don't make drones, they make nothing that you would think would have any similarities, but because everybody's on that same journey, they really are learning from each other and growing. And one of the things that we also do on the third workshop is we do a project management and change management part of the course, which I think really then seals the success of the roadmap and the technology that's then going to be adopted. Because obviously there's a lot of there can be a lot of worry around adopting digital technology. It's going to take all our jobs, it's going to be difficult to use, and actually that's not the case as long as you get the training and the implementation plan right. And I think that's what's the benefit of the course, taking you from the start of the journey right the way through to the end and supporting you all the way. And the company that we use to deliver the course now as well, along with the support you can access from Ian, actually offer some one-to-one support as well. They'll come out to the factory and give you that more support that is required, or more in-depth learning. And if you think about the revenue grant that's on offer as well, that doesn't have to be used for any one particular thing. You can use it at the start of the project if we've sort of whetted the appetite, but your journey is really quite in its infancy. You might want some more consultancy type work, or you might want to save that to maybe towards the end when you actually put in the training budget together with the implementation of the tech. So I think the key message for me is the program is very versatile, although it does follow a sort of a program, but it can be adapted from small to large, whether you're going from a 3D printer to, a full ERP system, or a robot. We really can help everybody along their way.
Yeah, and it's again, I'm just conscious from a time point of view that we're running out of time from today's session. It really is very easy though to sign up for Made Smarter in the Northeast, isn't it? I mean, it's you just have to register on the website, and then either Ian or Julia or one of the team in the Northeast, or in any other regions that are watching this today, will reach out to you and we'll start that process. And it may well be that it's just an initial conversation and it goes no further. It may develop into a full workshop where we come and look at your business in a little bit more depth, and it might stop there. We have our instances where we don't progress to a grant in some instances because the business has the capital already in house. It just needs the support from an understanding or from a skills and leadership perspective. So it's very much a case, I think, of offering tailored offerings for each of the different businesses, because every business is slightly different, although they will have some very common manufacturing-led problems. Obviously, pardon the pun, Sam, the sky really is the limit for you as a drone manufacturer moving forward, and we're glad that we can support you on that initial journey. But it's been quite an interesting couple of months for you guys as well. And can we just talk a little bit, Julia, about why Sam has come onto the call today? What's been going on in the Northeast that's prompted Sam to come on?
Well, Sam has Heliguy has won the Northeast Made Smarter Awards for this year. So we're really pleased about that. And obviously Sam will go on to represent the region, and Heliguy will represent the region in the overall awards as well for the whole of England. So it really it does recognise and celebrate everything about Made Smarter and the success of the companies that have been through the programme.
Yeah, and it's congratulations, Sam, by the way, for securing the winner of the Northeast. I think there's going to be some stiff competition from all the different regions. So I know we've collectively the awards are regional to start with, and then there's a final in Liverpool. And if anyone who's watching today wants to find out of how they can become a nominee for the next awards next year, if you go onto the website, there's a link on the Made Smarter website, which we'll put up the caption at the very end in a minute, and you can click on that to find out more, firstly about the program, but obviously to see all the different nominees from all the different regions. And as we progress over the next couple of months to the ultimate final and overall winner from Made Smarter. But they're all fantastic businesses anyway, all from different backgrounds, all from different categories. So it's going to be quite an exciting period of time for Made Smarter. Again, just like to probably round off at this particular point. So thank everybody for joining us today. Half an hour goes very quickly, doesn't it? I think there's lots to talk about, and hopefully there's lots of other businesses that are watching us today, like Heliguy and Sam, that if you're looking for some support regarding digital transformation, or you just want some advice, or even if you're looking for a manufacturing grant, then please reach out to us. And this is all the information that you guys need. If you've got your phones watching with you as you're watching this on a computer, just scan that QR code or click on one of those links. Okay, I've been Jonathan Richards. This is the Made Smarter LinkedIn Live session. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we look forward to meeting you at a similar point in the next month of May. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.